tomato soup. Hi, I'm Anupa and I welcome you to Sanjeev Kapoor Khazana and a warm welcome to a series of cooking for beginners. What do we do today? Let's make a quick tomato soup with croutons. A very classical recipe, again a very simple recipe at the same time. So what all ingredients we need to make this cream of tomato soup? Let's quickly run through. We need tomatoes, garlic, cream, sugar, crushed pepper, salt, fresh parsley, oil, butter, vegetable stock, bread slices. So to begin with, we'll need a deep vessel like this in which we'll first add oil. Okay, now tomato soup actually is quite sour because tomatoes are quite sour. So as far as possible, try and take plump red tomatoes. Of course, that's possible in winter season. Other times of the year, you may not get very bright red tomatoes. In that case, we will have to adjust the sourness with some other ingredient. How do we do that? I'll tell you. But first, we need to heat up some oil in a pan, to which we'll add some garlic. So the garlic we just need to slice. So just slice the garlic. Tomato and garlic is a very good combination. A lot of people prefer a little overpowering flavor of garlic in their soup. So you may add more garlic. If you don't want to really slice it, you can also crush a clove of garlic, as in you just take a clove and crush this. That's it, because we're eventually going to churn this soup. So as I also prefer a lot of garlic in my soup, I'm adding a little more, but you could just add about 3 to 4 cloves and that should be sufficient. So first we'll add in the garlic, just give it a stir. You don't need to brown it, just lightly saute it. And then to this we'll add tomatoes. Now the tomatoes that you see are cut into quarters like this, because you don't have to really chop it fine. We're going to churn the soup. All that we have to do is let the tomatoes go a little soft. So we'll add in the tomatoes. Give it a mix. I always say the minute you add tomatoes, add in salt, because when salt and tomatoes come in contact with each other, a lot of moisture is given out of the tomatoes and they tend to cook faster. So we add in the salt here, and after the salt, mix it. After we've mixed in the salt, what I'll do is I'll just put a lid and let the tomatoes soften without adding any stock or water. We'll let the tomatoes go a little soft on its own. In the meanwhile, let's cut the bread slices for croutons. You must have always noticed whenever you have a cream of tomato soup in a restaurant, they'll give you fried bread pieces. But that's not how you should be serving it. Those bread pieces or the croutons which go in tomato soup are supposed to be tossed in a pan. You're not supposed to deep fry them. I'll show you how to do it. First we need to cut the bread. We first get rid of the edges. Now we'll cut this into batons like this. As far as possible, try and use stale bread which is about a day old, because it cuts better. Very fresh slices of bread, you'll find it quite difficult to handle, especially when you have to cut them into croutons. It's very good for sandwiches, but when you have to work with bread in this manner, it's always better to use a day old bread. And then we'll cut this into small squares. Okay, so this is the bread that we need to cut for croutons. Let's have a look at the tomatoes here. You see this? This has already started to soften. What we'll do now is we'll add in the vegetable stock here. That's it. Salt we've already added. All that we need to add here is some sugar. So a little bit of sugar here. That's it, and we'll again cover it. Now tomatoes as such are not very thick as an ingredient. So do we need any kind of binding? A lot of people prefer thick tomato soup. In that case, you have to give some form of binding. What I would advise you here is to add a potato into this along with the tomatoes. So what happens is the potato leaves its starch and thus binds the soup well. Whenever I make my soup, I just use plain cream and tomatoes and I don't add any potatoes. But if you want to, you could add potatoes. You could also add carrot, because carrot is quite sweet in flavor and taste. So it cuts on the sourness of the tomatoes. So along with tomatoes, you could add, if you're using about 4 tomatoes, you could add 1 medium carrot and 1 potato. So carrot and potato along with tomatoes will give good binding. At the same time, it will cut on the sourness of the tomato. So that's it. It's very simple, but even if you make the soup the way I am making, you'll also have very good results. So let the tomatoes cook. Now we have to wait and watch till the tomatoes go absolutely pulpy. So this will take anywhere around 12 to 15 minutes, provided you do this on medium heat. Especially if you're in a hurry, you may also do this in a pressure cooker. But when you do in a pressure cooker, you really can't see what is happening in the pan, which is why I'm showing it to you in a pan. But doing it in the pressure cooker also will be a good idea. So in the meanwhile, let's do one thing. We'll make croutons. We'll just shift this pan here. We'll let the tomatoes cook. In the meanwhile, let's get ready to make croutons. We need a frying pan to which we'll add some butter. And we'll also add some oil because butter tends to burn. So when you add oil, it doesn't happen so. Okay. So oil and butter together. This needs to be really hot. Our bread is also cut into small dices. You can also cut it into bigger pieces, but small dices of bread look very nice in a soup. So I prefer to do it this way. Now what happens is this bread can be tossed in butter and kept at room temperature for about 3 to 4 days. So you really don't have to bother to make croutons every time. Make it and keep it in the container for about 4 days, it stays fine. The 5th day it may start getting a little rancid, but tomato and croutons is such a good combination that even if you make a container full of croutons, you'll finish it on the first day itself. Okay, so the butter has got nice and hot. Now what we'll do is we will add all of this in here. Okay. Initially what will happen is that the bread will absorb all the butter and the oil, and you'll have a pan which is absolutely dry. Do not add anything more after this, because eventually when the bread starts getting toasted, you'll find that it is leaving all the excess butter or the oil. You have to just keep on tossing this like this till the bread goes absolutely crisp. You could do that, or you could also use a spatula and keep on turning this regularly, because what happens is, since we have cut them into squares, facing or the side that is touching the pan will go crisp first. So since you want even browning all over, you will have to flip the bread continuously like this. Okay, so you see this, the croutons have gone golden in color, which means they are done, and you'll also hear the sound which shows the crispness of the bread. So once this is done, what we'll do is we'll take a bowl in which we'll remove these croutons. Now these croutons can stay well for about 4 days. All you need to do is put them on a sheet of butter paper or on a kitchen towel like this. All you need to do is just take one sheet of this, spread it well, and let all the tissue paper absorb all the excess butter. After this, you can store this in an airtight container which will stay well for about 4 days. Okay, so now that the tomatoes are cooked, I'll show you how it looks. You see these tomatoes, they are extremely pulpy. They are so soft that they left the skin and the pulp. You can see they have separated. So this is exactly how you need to cook your tomatoes. This may take anywhere around 15 minutes, as I mentioned to you earlier. Now, what we have to do is we have to blend the entire mixture, for which I need a hand blender. Just take this pan on your chopping board, use a hand blender, just tilt it here like this, and so this is done. You need to blend till the tomatoes go absolutely smooth. Now we still need to strain this. Why? Because tomato skins are there, although they've got churned. It doesn't give a very good mouthfeel when you are having a cream of tomato soup. So we'll just strain this quickly. Make sure you press everything out of the strainer and not waste anything. We have not used any kind of binding in this soup, so there aren't any lumps. All that will get strained off is the seed and the skin of the tomato. Now what we are left with is a good tomato pulp which we have flavored with garlic. We'd added some salt and some sugar. So just final touches is what remains, and that's it. Your cream of tomato soup is ready. So let's not waste anything. So what we'll do is we'll just pour the strained soup in the pan. And before adding anything else, it's very important to taste or check for seasoning. It is slightly sour, so we need to add sugar here. And we'll add some water. We need to add some crushed pepper. Don't add too much of it because it will hurt your throat. And just mix it up well. Once the sugar dissolves, the soup is almost ready to be served. We'll serve this with crisp croutons. It is still a bit thick, so you can actually thin it down, but this consistency is also fine. Okay, now let's add some cream to this. Before that, we'll put off the heat, and a good spoonful of cream should be fine. And that's it. So tomato soup is ready. Let's serve this. Make sure soups are always served piping hot, because that is how it tastes the best. Room temperature or lukewarm soups don't taste too good. So soup always has to be served piping hot. So here is your piping hot soup. Let's garnish this with some chopped parsley and some croutons that we've made, fresh crisp croutons, and some cream. So here you go. Tomato soup is ready. Make this recipe just the way I have made it and you'll be very proud of yourself.